Hello, y'all. I'm Corbin Ford. Welcome to Adventures in Poor Taste, and I'm here to review the movie Captain Marvel with y'all. So, Captain Marvel came out a couple days ago on March 8th, International Women's Day, and is the 21st film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The film is written and directed by Anna Boden, Marvel's first female director, and Ryan Fleck, and stars Brie Larson as Carol Danvers alongside Samuel Jackson, Ben Mendelsohn, Lee Pace, Lashana Lynch, Gemma Chan, Annette Bening, Clark Gregg, and Jude Law. The story is set in 1995 and follows Carol Danvers as she becomes Captain Marvel while also attempting to save the Earth from becoming the center of a huge space war between two alien worlds. So far, the movie's only been out a couple days and has already grossed 456 million worldwide, making it the second highest grossing film of 2019. So I'm going to go through some positives here with y'all real quick and then, touch on some negatives. Positively, I think this movie gives you a little bit of everything. There's some humor, there's some fun quips and banter, you have your action, some emotional scenes, and the plot twists were simply excellent. You seriously never see some of this coming, and that was a pleasant surprise to me. I also thought Jude Law personally stole every scene he was in, and I loved Ben Mendelsohn as well. He made me laugh out loud so many times. Lastly, Marvel aging Samuel Jackson worked so well aesthetically for me. It looked to me as the best de-aging in movies ever done. Bold statement? I think not. There were a few negatives I have to touch on. The editing is a disservice at some points, especially in fight scenes. A lot of sudden cuts to kind of correspond with each blow, and that really did nothing to add to the viewing experience for me personally. I don't really understand why it was there. It just sort of was. Another issue I noticed is that just as with most other movies that have origin stories, it just takes a long time to really get that movie going. You have to get past the origin story and then progress to the actual movie and storyline going forward. This film attempted to achieve that task by going back and forth between current action and sudden flashback scenes, and in my opinion, it just didn't work. Also, the antagonists in this movie were completely lackluster, which is almost to be expected when the main character is one as powerful as Captain Marvel is. However, even having that knowledge going into the theater, I still found it a bit disappointing. Ultimately, you want the fight to have some stake. Any fight in any movie, but especially in the climatic scenes where that stuff matters. And ultimately, I did not get the feeling that it did. Now, this is a point that was neither good or bad, but Brie Larson's performance I found okay. I didn't think it was great. I didn't think it was horrible. There was a lot of flack kind of floating around the, internet verse about whether her performance was too dry and whether she had enough character arc and actual development and yada yada yada. And I thought it was decent. There was moments that I thought could have been done better. I think finding her personality was an issue, but to me, I attribute that more to a flaw in the writing than I do in her performance. The writing really relied a lot upon her reflecting and her having basically amnesia. And that impacted who she was as a character. Sometimes she would be sassy, quick, witty, with clever comebacks. Other times she'd be very grim and something of a DC movie. And, that back and forth, while I understand it due to the amnesia and her discovering herself, also did itself a disservice because it didn't allow Brie Larson to be whichever Captain Marvel is supposed to be as a character. So, hopefully you do have Avengers Endgame coming out next month. You do have other movies, hopefully, that she'll be a part of. Maybe now that she knows who she is, she can grow as that character, show more of her personality in that way, and we can all appreciate it for what it is. Two last notes for the comic book purist. Number one, if you're looking for the storyline this movie is based off of the most, look no farther than Roy Thomas's 1971 Kree-Skrull War comic book storyline. I really think that was well done, even for the 70s, but also so integral to the plot of the story. I think you'll be able to kind of delve into that, take what you see as, similar plot points, what you see as differences, but that, to me, is the storyline most in line with the actual movie. Also, if you're coming into notes of Captain Marvel's origin in your hand, leave them at the door of the theater because you're going to be in for a surprise. It is just one of the many plot twists in this movie, and although this may not be a great one for the purists who love Captain Marvel for who he is and, what he stood for and how he became a character and how Carol Danvers inherited her powers and all of that jazz. You do have to understand that Captain Marvel's been dead for like 30 something years. Okay, so the fact that there was a twist in this story did little to me as far as affect me in a negative way. And aside from being a diehard comic purist, it really won't mean anything to you either. I just want to let you know that moving forward, if you're reading and doing your homework to understand the history of Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers, binary, look into that, guys and girls, more for that later. If you're trying to do research on that, just take it all with a grain of salt because this movie will definitely surprise you in that regard. Ultimately, I'd give this movie a 7 out of 10 relative to my initial expectations. It wasn't amazing, it just wasn't. But it was an enjoyable romp despite its shortcomings. And with Avengers Endgame coming out next month, that's all I needed. I am perfectly fine with that. It continues the Marvel tradition of pretty solid movies, and I think you will enjoy it. Well, thanks a lot for spending a few minutes with me reviewing this movie. Appreciate your time. Corbin Ford signing off with Adventures in Poor Taste, and enjoy great movies, y'all. Watch them, review them, leave them in the comments, let me know what you think. Y'all have a good one.